Robinson with Mrs. Cuevas, and I have a midterm, and I have my completion term too in my cell.
We show that you were removed from that program because you received a disciplinary infraction.
I have the completed. It shows she wrote the report about it and everything. It's on paper. I have it written.
The RT screen saying completed?
RT screen, yes. He got an ER.
Okay.
We do have your midpoint evaluation for tier 2. That's all.
I have the completion one too.
And tell us why you deserve parole, sir.
I've just been in a lot of mess with this whole entire case. I created a big mess, you know, with the protective violation orders, just not listening to the protective order, not taking the law that I was just making decisions without thinking of the consequences at the time. And the consequence that I got this time has just been a year and some change, and it's been a very, very tough ride, and it's something that I never want to do again. And it's actually humbled me a lot. I learned a lot. I took some classes, and I went to AA and NA meetings and things like that. I learned things that that I should be doing, like in general, just like in the world, like
Be specific.
as far as
Be specific.
getting help for what I need. You know, this time made me realize.
Getting help. You have to be specific, sir. You're speaking in general. You're saying, I learned some things from NA and AA that I'm going to use out in the community, and you have to be specific. What did you learn?
So things like my medication, things that are actually that you should be taking, like medication, therapy, that there is something that I need to address, and instead of just going on and living like there's nothing wrong with me, like so. You're saying that addressing your mental health. Mental health, exactly, absolutely.
And AA taught you that?
Well, everything taught me that, because you learn more than just Alcohol Anonymous in those classes. You know, you from the outside come in and talk, and they say a lot of things. Everyone goes up and speaks their story and history and things like that. And, you know, before I like to tell people that, you know, it's not me. It's just because I didn't want to feel like there was something wrong with me. But it's, you know, I just learned from there that it's okay to have something wrong with you, just to address it, you know. So as far as that, you know, therapy, things like that, counseling, that's just going to be something that I'm going to do, because I do have a life that that is good for me. I work, I have my own, I came to Connecticut with my own business. I opened in Danbury Fair Mall in 2021, skincare company. I did a lot of things, and I just ruined it with this. So I just ruined it, just completely. And I'm 30 years old, so I don't have time to screw up anymore, you know. Okay. It's just, yeah. So
I appreciate that information. Is it okay if I call you Mr. Royale?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I do know that I recognize that you have a hyphenated name. It's just for time for me, honestly, and ease to call you Mr. Royale. So what will happen here is each of us will take an opportunity to ask you some questions. When we are done, we will turn the hearing over to our victim's advocate, Mrs. Vazquez, for victim input. And then we will deliberate and give you our decision. Okay?
Okay. Yes,
I'm going to start with the questions. I have to be honest, Mr. Royale, and tell you that I'm glad that you were able to identify that you're dealing with your mental health issues will help you navigate life in the future. However, for you to sit here before us with just 3 violation of protective orders and 1 threatening is a miracle, because you had so many violations of protective order. And then you're a multi-state offender on top of that. You have a simple battery in Georgia. Who was that? Who did you
Oh,
be?
I was at an Airbnb in Georgia, and it was during the time of COVID, and I was with my girlfriend at an Airbnb, and there was a random guy over there that I was really intoxicated, and he got in like a little fight with me outside of the house. And yeah, just a little, well, I was intoxicated.
So a stranger.
A stranger, yeah. And then some lady got involved where not some lady, the Airbnb lady came in and like, I guess separated us, and the police came and just arrested me. They let me go.
I count. So that's one. And then what did you do? What did you do in North Carolina that they have a warrant for you?
North Carolina has a warrant for me?
Yeah. What'd you do?
I never knew about that. That's news. That's news to me.
Okay. Try to verify it. I mean, I know I'm not the only one that saw that he has a warrant in North Carolina.
Consuming alcohol.
Oh, for consuming
Consuming
alcohol?
alcohol under the age of 19.
Okay.
What is it for?
At the age of 19? Is that what you said? Under the age. Okay. Consuming alcohol under the age limit, under 21. That's what you have in North Carolina.
I remember that.
Oh, now you remember it. Okay.
I never thought I had a warrant for it. I never got arrested or anything.
No, they probably gave you a citation and then you never went to court. They're not going to arrest you for underage drinking unless you're acting violently or trying to drive a motor vehicle.
Right.
I just remember I woke up in the hospital, ma'am, and all my family was around. And if this is the same time, I woke up in the hospital, my family.
Well, listen, if you can't remember, it's too many times. That's it. That's a problem. That's a problem, sir. If you drink to a point that you don't remember what and when.
No, that was actually my first time drinking like that. I never drank like that.
You weren't supposed to be drinking, period. Do you understand that?
Absolutely.
And there seems to be a pattern of your abuse of alcohol. And I read that you said you were self-medicating, which I completely understand. But when you're self-medicating, you become violent. And that's where the problem lies, sir. I really don't see any evidence of change here. I know we were talking about your participating in the Tier 2 program and completing that. Even that aside, you still have received 2 disciplinary infractions, one just this year that was really a fight, but they called it an interfering with safety and security. You violated this protective order with this young lady. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 times. And you were only charged for 3. And there were a bunch of other charges that they just nollied because you had so many. And I when the officer asked you about why you committed the offense, you said the victim came into your store, the victim invited you over. I mean, wait, there was one that really, I mean, the victim locked herself inside a big wide bathroom because she was afraid of you. Do you want your partner to be afraid of you?
Absolutely not.
So what did you do to instill this kind of fear in this woman? I know. I mean, it's just so you can't control your partner, sir. And then for the life of me, I don't understand why when they don't want you to contact them, why you still contact them. Is she worth your being in prison?
Absolutely not, ma'am.
I don't understand. I don't care who the president of the United States could call me and tell me to come on over. If there's a protective order in place, I'm not going. I don't understand the decision making time after time after time. And they gave you 30 months for this sentence. And sir, I think that sentence was appropriate. I have no intentions on supporting your request for discretionary parole today. I do not believe that you're a suitable candidate. based on, the nature of these crimes, it's a repeated pattern, alcohol violence, alcohol consumption, control violence. It's too much for me. It really is too much. So, Ms. Turner. Oh, wait, one last thing. I apologize. And then when the officer asked you, what were you going to do to refrain from incurring any more charges, criminal convictions? You said you're going to stay with the Israels? What does that mean?
No, so he asked me a few questions. He asked me, what am I going to do when I go back into the world to avoid these
right, that's what I just said.
Getting into this. And I told him for the last 15 years, I work in a Jewish community, and I work and I sell cosmetics, and we have a lot of traditions that we follow throughout the years, throughout the calendar. And I got off track, whenever I closed my store in Danbury, I started to do like drugs. I was in the streets. I was running around.
What did you mean by the statement, sir, that you were going to stay with them?
I meant to stay around my community, like my friends, but the people that I work with.
Well,
not
that
like
would imply, sir, that you're not the problem. You're the problem. You're the common denominator. So regardless of who you're around, if your mentality is still the same, you're going to continue to incur criminal convictions. You can be angry with your Jewish community. You can be angry. This was a stranger that you beat up in Georgia.
I didn't beat up someone. I got into an altercation where I was intoxicated, ma'am. I was charged with
it says simple assault.
Yeah, and they dropped the charges because they did I spoke with the victim. We all spoke. The victim spoke with me. But yeah, I'm saying to you that you need to identify that you are the problem. Absolutely, ma'am. I know this for 100%. I am the problem. Yeah.
So, Mr. Royal, do you remember the Hotel Zero incident back in January of 2022?
Yes, ma'am. That was the first.
That was a threatening second. Can you tell me the initials of the victim in that case?
HC.
Okay. So, building off of what my colleague was just talking to you about, at the time of this incident, when the police were called, you had only been dating for a couple of weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm struggling to appreciate why, after, within a few weeks, you're still getting to know one another and figuring out whether this is a possible fit, or, whether you're, connecting enough to keep pursuing a relationship. So she didn't think so. And you could not accept that. And I just don't understand how you could say to another human being that you're going to send people to her to make her life difficult. And you were also quoted in the police report as saying, "I will kill you slowly until you shoot yourself." Do you have anything to say?
I was at that time just, I was saying anything. It's not the character, personal, who I am and what I would actually do.
Your words are a reflection of your character. And if
right.
Why would you think that somebody who's trying to take themselves out of a relationship with you is going to want to stay with you when you threaten to kill them slowly? I mean, do you understand how absurd that is?
Yeah, absolutely, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have a problem respecting women?
And that, in the situations that I had there, yes, I did. I did at the time.
And you have not, you've never taken a domestic violence class?
Yeah, I did. I only had 2 weeks to finish before the last ticket that they gave me. I was in the domestic violence class, and I took anger management classes as well in the world. I took one, but I just didn't finish it.
Well, you need to continue taking these programs, sir, because you've got to get a handle on your emotions and your thoughts, and that you can verbally intimidate and abuse other people and think that they're going to want to be with you. That all you're doing is creating a hostage, someone who's with you because they're too afraid to leave you. That's not a relationship. Why would you want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with you? Have enough self-respect to walk away.
Right.
Yes,
I have no
ma'am,
more
I
questions
understand.
for Mr. Royale.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
I have no questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir. We're going, at this time, Mr. Royale, we're done with our questions. We're going to turn the hearing over to our victim's advocate. Good morning again, Ms. Vazquez. Please do not interrupt, sir.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
morning, Madam Chair and board members. I had the opportunity to speak with the victim, and she has requested that I read a statement on her behalf. And it reads like this. I am happy for his moving forward with his life, and I wish him only the best of success. I believe in him. He'll learn from his past and he will succeed. When we were in a business together, he spent money I had given him for the purpose of starting a business venture together. That business venture did not go as agreed, and I never got the money returned to me. There's a lot of financial loss that I've had to work hard to get this money on my own. It is good to see him getting back on his feet. I would hope that at some point with his new job, he considers repaying the money he had taken from me, which sums about $70,000. Within business and other things that I'm not sure exactly what the money was used for. Other than that, I wish him only the best with his future intentions and hope for lots of success. Thank you, and I'm sure that is all that I have for this case.
Thank you, Ms. Vazquez. All right, so give us a few minutes to talk about your case, Mr. Royale. And again, you may listen, but you may not interrupt. I think I've stated my position on this applicant. I do not believe that he is suitable for a discretionary parole. He has not shown us any evidence that he's changed. He hasn't completed any programs according to our records. And also the nature of this offense is very concerning.
I concur with your summary. I share your concerns. I think Mr. Royale has a lot of work to do. And he has 7.5 years of this sentence hanging over his head when he goes out to 5 years of probation. And I do hope he'll be successful.
As do I.
I would also agree, Madam Chair, with what you said about Mr. Royale. And I think that he really does need to continue to do a lot of work in order to be able to put his life back together again.
Thank you. With regard to
Can I suggest nature and circumstance, inadequate evidence of offender change, poor institutional adjustment, and inadequate release plan?
I have nature and circumstance, injury, not injury, in fact, inadequate evidence, lack of program participation because he didn't do that.
But he is debating, now he's saying he did DD and we don't have any information about that. So I thought, release plan and institutional adjustment.
No, I don't care about his release plan if I'm not releasing him.
Yeah.
But he didn't come with one that would have, provided us any confidence.
So you said nature and circumstance, inadequate evidence, I'm sorry, important institutional adjustment.
Institutional adjustment.
Okay, all right, so we can, that's plenty, right? Okay, thank you. So with regard to Gerbaud, Deveaux, Royale 440236, I move that his discretionary parole be denied based on his, the nature and circumstance of his offense, his poor institutional adjustment, and inadequate evidence of offender change. He will not receive a new hearing and he will finish his sentence and go out to his probation. Is there a second?
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. All right, Mr. Royale, you received all of this in writing and we wish you the best, sir.
This concludes the hearing for Gerbaud and Deveaux Royale, number 440236.
You're all set. You can ask the officer to send in the next person, please.
Thank you.
Next. Hey, I'm not sure what this dude did because I just walked in right now, but man, they're not even consider him anymore. He definitely didn't make any changes. All right, so let's see who's up next, and I'll be here. I'm listening in now, and
Good morning.
start looking them up. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, how's everybody doing today? Oh, today we don't have that many people coming on. Nando, que got show for him. How's everybody doing today's Friday? The weekend is here. Anything special going on? Hey Lolly, how's it going today? Morning, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Menard. Today is Friday, October 11th, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. Following board members are present this morning, and by stating their names on the record, certify they reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information and preparation of the hearing.
Good morning, I'm panel member Barry.
Member Rodriguez, good morning.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Please state your name and inmate for the record.
Dion Andrews, 410749.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Dion Andrews, inmate number 410749. He is serving a sentence of 12 years executed suspended after 5 years jail with 4 years probation for 2 counts of criminal possession of a firearm. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of November 29th, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows he has completed the Tier 2 program. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe the parole. You may begin.
All right. Good morning. How's everyone today? Today is a big day for me. I would like to present this moment with some thoughtful words. For a starter, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to think better and live better. Since the moment of my incarceration, I have had extensive time to ponder on exactly what caused me to be here and what caused me to want change. In life, I have made many poor choices. I also find myself in a bad cycle of life. Many of my previous choices weren't the best ones, but I learned many lessons from them. I learned that all things that I've done has not only affected myself, but the judicial system, my family, and my community as well. I've lost a lot of time with my family, and I also hurt my community by my previous actions. I take full responsibility, and I am very apologetic to everyone. Being in prison wasn't easy. I felt every day was a test. I have taken a Tier 2 program to learn about sobriety. I also volunteered at Chester's Alcohol Anonymous program to further my understanding and determination on sobriety. I have completed all of my required programs and have had a few jobs since being incarcerated. I am currently working at Osborn Clothing Factory to have a better understanding and transition at working when I am released. I have a good support system. I also have several job opportunities upon my release. I am ready to demonstrate responsibility and great choice making once released. I now have a plan, something that I did not have before. I now understand all of my responsibilities that I have not only as a man, but as a father of a 2-year-old and a 13-year-old. My 2 daughters need me, and I am missing some of the most important moments in their life. If given this chance, I will start working immediately, and I will be able to achieve all of my plans. Most importantly, I will not be returning to prison because this is not a life I want to be stuck in. I'd like to take this opportunity to display my growth and change once again today. I want to apologize to the community, my family, the courts, and the judicial system. Also to myself for how long I found myself. Thank you for allowing me to be here today and listen to what I have to say and considering the option of letting me be released today. Well, soon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andrews, for preparing that statement. You did a great job delivering it to us. You've been before the parole board before, so you know exactly how this works. When we're done with our questions, we will deliberate and give you our decision, all right?
Okay.
Best of luck to you, sir. Ms. Turner will start with the questions.
All right, thank
Morning,
you.
Mr. Andrews. Yes, thank you for that opening statement. So I just want to get a few of the facts out on the table. You were on probation at the time that you got these new convictions,
Yes, ma'am.
and that was for robbery first?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So were you on the deadly weapon offender registry for that charge?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when you go out for this sentence, that 5-year obligation to the deadly weapon offender registry begins all over again because you're back in on gun crimes.
Yes.
Okay, so I hope you take that seriously because, you know, it could bring you back to prison. You could be here until your mid-30s.
You're sure? That's right.
Okay, so you were only out on probation 7 months when the police got a tip you had a gun. And you were, in that 7-month period, you're already back to using cocaine. I have that right?
Yes.
So why did you have the 2 loaded guns in your car?
So to be honest, like I don't know if you see the police report, but I was accused of being about to sell the firearms. As you know, I was addicted to drugs, and that was a way to get money to cope with the drugs that I was doing at that time.
Okay, so you wanted to sell the guns and get the money to use for, okay. Where did you get the guns?
A friend gave them to me. Somebody that I knew had gave them to me, and I was supposed to sell them and give them a portion of the money, and I was gonna get what I was gonna get out of the deal.
When did you get a license as a federally registered firearm dealer?
I never had a license as a firearm dealer.
But yet there you were in the business of selling guns out in our community, endangering public safety.
Yes, you're right about that, and I regret those choices that I made.
Did you have a pistol permit?
No, ma'am.
Right, because you're a convicted felon, so you're prohibited for the rest of your life from possessing firearms and ammunition.
Yes, ma'am.
But that was true back in 2016 with the robbery first. You also had a weapon and a motor vehicle. So what we're doing today, Mr. Andrews, is making a decision about whether it's appropriate for you to finish the 5 years you have to serve out in the community on discretionary parole before you begin 4 years of probation. And we have to make that decision in light of the interests of public safety.
Yes.
And you have prior gun convictions, you have weapon in a correctional institution as well, and you're back out in the community in 7 months' time, violating the laws all over again. And you do see the epidemic that we're facing with gun violence. It's national, and you're contributing to that. It's appropriate that you apologize to the community and the criminal justice system. But what you need to do is correct your behavior and the choices that you're making. Because you score out high for your risk to reoffend, and you were unsuccessful on supervision. It's all very concerning. So you took tier 2 and completed that in October of last year, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you got a DR in April of this year for marijuana.
Yes.
So that tells me the program didn't do anything for you because you made poor choices there in the facility to abuse the drugs that we know are in there. So you're not even invested in your own recovery, but you're talking to us today about going to AA.
After that, I volunteered in AA because of that. Because
Why did
I had
you
a
make the choice
I had
to
a
use?
relapse. I had a
Why?
relapse with marijuana. I was going through things and I made a poor decision. And
Okay.
after that
So
decision,
what are your skills for going through things without resorting to drug use?
I'm human, miss. We all make mistakes. We all make poor choices. It was something that was in the midst of the moment, and once I did it, I felt regretful about it. I wrote and I took AA to volunteer to try to right my wrong. And
Well, to help yourself, hopefully.
yes.
But what were you going through that marijuana in prison seemed like a good solution?
I was going through family issues. I had lost a family member. I was arguing with my mom at this time. I was arguing with my kid's mom. It was hard to cope with it at that time. So marijuana was around and I made a poor choice by doing it, and I regretted it after I did it. I signed up for AA to try to correct that wrong that I did.
So what did you learn in tier 2 that you could have used to deal with a conflict with family and the death of a family member without, harming yourself?
Making better decision making, not letting drugs be an escape for things that you go through, not allowing drugs to be the only thing that can help you cope with things, using other life skills such as deep breathing, taking a walk, meditation. Yes, that's correct. I learned those things as well, but it was
you didn't resort to those. You resorted to marijuana.
I did. Once again, I take full responsibility as it shows in the ticket. If you could read it, I took responsibility for my action.
It's great after the fact, but I'm talking about your decision making that would make that seem like a viable option. Because when you get out in the world as an adult, there's stress and there's conflict day in and day out. You have to deal with a lot of different people and a lot of different behaviors, and you have to have some resiliency.
You're correct. I'm correct about that.
Do you have anybody in your support system who's living in recovery?
Yes. I have. I grew up around a lot of drug addicts in the home that I grew up in. So it was easy for me to adapt to that in the environment that I grew up in. So,
and I can appreciate that, but I'm talking about people who have made a choice to give up drugs and alcohol and live clean and sober. Do you have anybody in your life like that?
Yes. My uncle, my brother, my aunt. I have several people that went through the same thing I have.
How about this cousin in New Haven you want to sponsor to? We haven't been able to reach him.
She works a lot, so you probably have to. Yeah.
All right. Well, she ought to call the parole officer back if she's actually going to sponsor you.
Okay.
To your credit, you've gotten letters indicating you have jobs waiting for you on the outside. That's positive.
Yes.
Why do you want a CDL?
That was my dream for a long time, getting my CDL. I like to travel. It's a great paying job.
You have a high school diploma?
Yes, ma'am.
It is concerning, sir. You have 11 tickets this period of incarceration, and the ones that I have access to, 3 of them involve marijuana. And just the one after you completed the program. So why do you like going to AA?
To me, it's soothing because a lot of people there went through, even though it's not the same choice of drug that I was addicted to, they have some type of addiction, and it's fighting addiction every day is hard. It's hard. It's not.
Have you heard the once an addict, always an addict?
Yes, I have heard
Okay.
that.
So you don't put it behind you, you deal
No,
with it every
you
single
fight
day of
every
your
day.
life.
You fight every day. So
Well, you make a choice every day to live clean and sober, and sometimes it's every hour of every day
yes,
as you
ma'am.
deal with cravings or triggers.
Yeah.
Do you know what your triggers are?
Mainly stress. That's one of my biggest triggers, stress and like depression. I dealt with stress and depression since a child. I've been to juvenile. I went through DCF. I dealt with a lot growing up, abuse. So that was my way to escape those things. And once you pick up a drug, you know it's hard to just let it go once you addicted to some sort of drug. So
Mr. Andrews, do you appreciate that AA is a program built on the 12 steps? Are you familiar with the 12 steps?
not all of them, but a lot of them, yes.
But the concept that
Yes.
so, AA is more than just attending meetings. It's about actually working on yourself using the 12 steps to address your issues and your addiction so that you can continue to live clean and sober. So I would encourage you to learn about the 12 steps, start working on them while you're there in the facility.
Yes, like if you guys do grant me parole, I would love to attend some sort of programs once released as well, if it's possible. Like any.
Well, aren't you going to do it even if we deny you today?
Yes, even if you are
Because your
denied,
commitment
I
is to yourself.
yes, to myself
Right,
as well.
you're not
but
negotiating with us. If you grant me, I'll go to
No.
programs.
but
No,
my plan is to further my treatment once I'm released as well.
right,
That's my
because
plan.
you're someone with a very long-standing addiction to substances, and you want to get a job as a commercial truck driver.
Yes,
Those two things can be problematic together.
yes.
So before you pursue your CDL, you really need to have a handle on your addiction.
Yes, I don't want drugs at all anymore. I have 2 beautiful children.
But you know what? And I appreciate that, Mr. Andrews. This is your 3rd period of incarceration. And if you really wanted to get out to be there to raise your kids, why are you using marijuana in prison? You knew it wasn't going to help you. You knew you had a parole eligible sentence.
This is my 2nd incarceration. I did my first
That's
year
the
with.
takeaway. Okay.
It was. I did 6 years my first time, and then I was released. I felt like I didn't fully rehabilitate the first incarceration.
Well, I think that's evident, or you wouldn't be back here.
Yes.
You had a 2-year and 6-month sentence for a weapon in a correctional institution. That was your 2nd incarceration in 2018.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I have no more questions for Mr. Andrews. Thanks for talking with me, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you. Mr. Andrews, I share the same concerns. I mean, yeah, a young man's got these issues. If you think it's stressful there now, coming out, it's going to be unbelievable. And I have a concern that you couldn't handle it while you're there, even though you did take some programming around it. I'm not sure what commitment you really made to your tier 2 participation, because I'm not hearing in your discussion with my colleague that you really grasp this whole idea of sobriety and recovery and those kinds of things that need to happen in order for you to be able to handle the things that will be going on the outside.
Yes.
Your charges are serious. You have some very serious charges. And also, there may be other programming that you probably should be taking as well, not just the tier 2. So I share very much of the same concerns. I don't have a whole lot of questions for you, because I tell you that the fact that you got a ticket for the THC after having taken tier 2 says a lot.
Yes, I can understand.
And I think you know that too. I think you know it. I think you know that you need a lot more work in order to really be ready to be able to take care of what you got to take care of on the outside. You need a very strong plan on your recovery for the outside, which I also didn't read. You just talked about, you would take some programs if we let you out. I mean, that's not That's not the deal at all. You know, the deal is you planning how you're gonna protect your recovery, maintain your recovery and sobriety on the outside. And that means work. That means you've got to do that work in advance to be prepared and set up for that. So I hope that whatever happens today, that you work on that, because that seems one of the things that keeps getting you in the places where you are.
Yes, you're correct.
Right. And, you know, I don't really have a lot of questions for you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Give us a few minutes to talk about your case, Mr. Andrews. Ms. Turner?
So, Mr. Andrews is end of sentence in February of 2027, estimated. He has 4 years of probation ahead of him, though he was on probation when he made the choice to resort to cocaine use, and that fueled his decision to get involved with guns and trying to sell them. So that is a huge risk to public safety, the choices that he was making out there while under supervision. He has many lovely support letters, a job in the clothing factory, and unfortunately not a lot else on his OAP. You know, I think the fatherhood program, voices, good intentions, bad choices are all things that are going to build his skill set to be able to deal with life and his triggers. If stress is a trigger, as my colleague was pointing out, you know, life's going to get pretty real when you're back in the community and you've got obligations to meet and expenses to live. And I don't get the sense that Mr. Andrews at this point in time has adequately prepared himself to meet those challenges. And he scores out high for his risk to reoffend. So it's a deny for me.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez?
Madam Chair, it's also denied for me as well, for basically the same reasons. I think that Mr. Andrews still needs a lot of work that he needs to work on. But I think my colleague laid out some of the programs that would be very helpful for him to be able to get involved with, to be able to at least kind of give him some foundation to get out there and do something. And I think he really does need to do some more preparation work on his end around his recovery, his own recovery, to get some of those things already set up before he comes out. So he's not looking for those things when he gets out. But it is a denial for me today. I don't want to acknowledge he's been working. He did take tier 2.
He has offers of employment.
And some support in the community he's got. So some of that's in place, but I think he needs to go a little bit further on his own and kind of take that responsibility. But I'm in denial for today.
Thank you. Your reasons for denial?
Nature and circumstance, offense on probation, poor institutional adjustment, and inadequate evidence of offender change.
Okay. And any rehear date? I don't have a rehear date.
Yeah, no, not for guns.
Okay. Yeah, this is his third weapon. So that's very concerning. With regard to Dion Andrews, 410749, I move to deny discretionary parole based on his poor institutional adjustment, nature and circumstance of his offense, and his offense being committed while he was on probation, and inadequate evidence of offender change. That's what you said, right? You will not have a new hearing, and you will be released at the end of your sentence with your 4 years of probation, to 4 years of probation to follow your incarceration. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, Mr. Andrews, we couldn't support your discretionary parole, sir. You'll receive all of this in writing. Best of luck.
That's the decision I had already before I even had this hearing.
Yeah, we do make our decisions beforehand. And then we listen to what you have to say and consider it. So good luck to you, sir.
Good luck to you too.
It's going to lose the hearing for inmate number 4107.
Damn. They told him. Next. All right. What did you guys think about that hearing? And if you guys are getting notifications that I got another stream going, I'm actually testing out my other computer because you know, the last week or so, it's been really laggy. So I'm trying to figure out. I'm adjusting the settings to check if it's fixing. If I could fix the settings to go ahead and get it back up. And so if you get notifications of that, it's gonna say test stream, and that's what it is. I'm just testing out the system.
Good morning. My name is Carlos Menard. Today is Friday, October 11th, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Parties and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning, and by stating their names on the record, certify they reviewed all statutorily required documents and available current information.
Good morning, I'm panel member Barry.
Panel member Rodriguez, good morning.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Dwayne Brown, 290411.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the full application of Dwayne Brown, inmate number 290411. He is serving a sentence of 7 years executed suspended after 4 years jail with 5 years probation for criminal violation of a restraining order, unlawful restraint, and assault third. As of today, records reflect a Willie date of October 22nd, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the domestic violence program and voices. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score of the SRT falls within a moderate range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Well, good morning, first and foremost. Thanks for taking the time out to give me this opportunity to hear my side of the story. But I feel I will appreciate it if you guys will consider me for parole, because I sat here for these last 2 years. I held myself accountable for my actions. And by doing that, it allowed me to think about like how I wanted to proceed with life after this. And since day one, instead of thinking about the issues, I thought about a solution. First part of my solution was I was in a toxic relationship, so I filed for a divorce to get that out the way so I wouldn't have to be put in that predicament once again. Second, I got in touch with my higher power, try to seek understanding from other places other than people around me, and seeking it for myself. So I got in touch with my higher power, started to do intense self-help on myself by reading books, trying to better myself, my way of thinking. And after that, I just came up here. I invested into these programs. I did the programs. I grabbed what I needed out of there to apply to my everyday living situation. And I feel like I'm ready to just go home, live life like a normal citizen, continue to work how I've been working, and just be there for my kids, my son, my stepdaughters, my daughter. Just be there for my family. I'm family oriented. Like I was sidetracked it. So I'm ready to just get back on the main course in life and just continue to be a productive citizen in society.
Okay, well, Mr. Brown, you can't be a productive member of society committing crimes.
Understandable.
So we do appreciate the input that you've provided. And we do have some questions for you based on review of your file. And I would argue, and I'm not the person that's going to start with the questions, but I would argue that you haven't held yourself accountable for your actions, especially in that you blame you say your victim to ask you to come over. In this case, you blamed everybody else. She fell and hit her face on the bed. When she fell off the bed, she hit her face. I mean, just excuse after excuse. And that's just in the report that we've read that the officer prepared for us to review. So I don't know when the change came about that you accepted responsibility and taken accountability for your actions, but that's not what we read in our documents. So I'm sure we'll have some questions with regard to that, okay?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's a good starting point. Exactly when did this change take place, Mr. Brown?
Excuse me?
Exactly when did this change of yours take place since at the time of this interview, which wasn't that long ago, you were still kind of on this blaming others thing. So exactly at what time, at what point did this change take place?
Last night.
Well, the change took place since I realized that I put myself in a messed up situation, a messed up predicament. But when I was talking to Mr. Menard, he asked me what happened, and I was recalling to the best of my ability that night. I wasn't putting the blame on the victim. I was explaining to him what happened that night, but the blame was on me because I took it upon myself to go over there and do the things that I did, and how the situation played out. It could have been much different if I'd have carried myself differently.
This ended up being a really crazy situation, right?
Yes, it has.
SWAT was called out, negotiators, I mean.
That wasn't the first time that someone had to intervene,
Right,
holding people hostage.
yeah. What was driving all of that?
It was actually a big misunderstanding. I mean, like, from the outside looking in, it does sound and look kind of crazy, but it wasn't really no hostages being held at that time. It just looked like that because that's what the police report say. She was free to go as she wanted to, but me and her was like, I really wasn't holding her
She had
hostage.
to call 911, right?
You locked
Somebody
her in
else.
a bedroom and you got unlawful restraint, sir. She
Yeah.
wasn't free to go.
Like, I was basically, I didn't lock her in the bedroom. We was inside the house, so they wouldn't know what really went down, but she didn't call 911. I believe if
A neighbor.
a neighbor called
Neighbor called
911.
911. Yeah.
Yes,
Because
because
there are a lot of records going on.
they heard it arguing, but it does look kind of crazy, but
Sure, it was crazy.
Mhm.
It doesn't look crazy. The actions that were going on at that time were
they also
not
said
normal, right?
they also said I did a home invasion, which is I never did that though.
But did you go in with permission?
Excuse me?
Did you go in with permission?
Yes, I did.
Sound that way. Okay, I didn't read it that way. So now you know one of the issues that we have is that you minimize a lot of these kinds of things that have happened with you, and you have a history of things that have happened. Do you have a prior history that concerns me? You have 7 unsuccessful community releases, which means you didn't make it out. When you got out before, you didn't make it. It didn't work for you. This is your 3rd incarceration. Correct?
Fifth.
5th? I have 3rd. I have 5th. 5th incarceration.
Counted them up on the rap sheet.
I actually been home for, I said, about 7, 8 years working. I completed my last parole stint and my last probation stint.
2018.
But stuff doesn't stay with you though. Right? So what's gonna make this different?
Well, I'm older, I'm thinking different, I'm thinking with a clear head. I'm thinking with more understanding now instead of trying to do things my way. I figured things my way is not working, so I'm thinking with more understanding instead of trying to bend corners and take shortcuts. There's no shortcuts in life. So I figured I might have to just stay on the straight path, and I built the plan to go home and just try to be as successful as I could, be there for my kids and just try to maintain a positive image in their eyes. Because at first I wasn't thinking like that in my prior past. I wasn't thinking that way. But now as I'm getting older, my kids are getting older, and I'm talking to my kids on the phone and they have a full understanding of what's going on, like why I'm not around. It affected my way of thinking.
Well, it's positive that you're reconnecting with your family, and there are some other, positive things. You don't have any current DRs, which is a positive thing for us. You also taken DV, you've taken voices, correct?
Yes.
Can you share with us, how that's going to help you normalize your relationship on the outside? Since one of the things you mentioned was that this was a toxic relationship that you were involved in.
Yes.
What's going to make your relationship more normal and more,
You said what's going to?
Yeah, what you learned from your DV experience and your voices experience. Because the other thing I didn't hear in your opening statement was I don't think I acknowledged your victim in this particular situation. You did do an apology. You did do a general apology.
Yes, I do hold myself accountable, and I have a lot of remorse for my actions, and I feel it's best for us to go our separate ways. So she could live a prosperous life as possible, however she maintains that. And as far as for me, on an everyday basis with anybody in general, if there's a misunderstanding, I'm not gonna point the finger at the next person. I'm gonna say what was wrong on my behalf and what we could have done better as a whole, instead of arguing, because nobody gets their point across arguing. Nobody's being heard when one person is screaming at the next or pointing a finger at the next person. So that there's no clear understanding of what went wrong and what could have resolved the issue if we're doing that.
What sets you off?
What sets me off
What
was
are your triggers?
I was impatient. A lot of things I was impatient about. And that set me off, but I worked on my patience in here because I figure I can't be impatient. Nobody or nothing moves on my time. So everything plays its part. I gotta be able to understand what's the next person's actions and what's their motives and why they did that. So instead of being impatient, I'd rather sit down and talk about a situation and get a clear understanding before I jump to conclusions and put my understanding to their actions.
Okay. Can you talk to me a little bit about your release plan?
My release plan, I'm in barber classes right now, but that's the secondary thing I want to pursue after I go get my CDL. And me and my brothers, I have 5 brothers, but me and 2 of my brothers, we're in the midst of starting a business. And basically, we're gonna do a logistic business where we're gonna, the idea is to deliver hospital supplies. One of my brothers, he has the website. He has the website going. He has the name copywritten, the EIN number. He's just waiting for me to come home with my ideas and the things I gathered in here, as in the general contracting, the general funding, things of that nature.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you responding to my question. I have to share with you, I'm still very concerned about the 7 unsuccessful releases that you've gone out. You do have some positive things that are happening with you. You did take your DV and your voices, and it sounds like with the DV, you did get some information from that. I'm concerned on the nature of this charge. I'll be honest with you about that as well. The fact that you're still minimizing some of the stuff that went on, some of the things that have happened. But I appreciate you answering my questions this morning, and I'm going to move on to my colleagues.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rodriguez. So Mr. Brown, I'm really not concerned about your release plan because I really don't have you voted to parole. And I can tell you why, in each one of these cases, you were drunk. And yet when the officer asked you about your substance abuse problem, you said, I don't have one. Do you think that that's a true statement?
Well, I really didn't think it was an issue because I wasn't drinking on an everyday basis, but now that you put it that way, it looks like I do have one.
What?
On top of that, okay, so you didn't take a tier program. And then when my colleague asked you about if whether or not the victim let you into the house, all the reports say that you showed up with somebody else, which you admit, I came there with my brother. We left to go and get alcohol. You even said the victim was doing drugs too. And then you got drunk and you got into an argument, is what you say. And somehow her face hit the floor or your fist. And it says in our reports that you grabbed her by her neck and you choked her. You forced your way into that house. She didn't know that she was there dog sitting, is what our records say. And that you forced your way into the house. Then you wouldn't let this lady out. She had, I don't understand. And then you beat her up and busted her lip, vandalized this lady's car, and you didn't do any of that? You didn't do anything to her car? You didn't bust her window out of her car or anything?
That wasn't that night.
No, I didn't say it was that night. I'm saying the history, sir, of your violent behavior with women is concerning. And this isn't your first time with this kind of behavior.
Or first victim.
Right. And then you get into the prison and they give you a job. Most people need jobs because how else do you pay for your commissary? And you refuse to clean the bathroom. Are you too good to clean the bathroom?
No, I didn't refuse to. Was how he asked me, and the bathroom that he asked me to clean was not a bathroom that I was permitted to clean. That was the staff bathroom, and the staff bathroom, we don't clean those bathrooms. That's why he gave me the job back after we talked like a week afterwards.
It's just, I have to be honest. You were out on, they voted you were out on parole in 2011. You got arrested for a criminal trespass. That's a new arrest. Then the second time that we let you out on parole, you came back again with a new charge for possession of a narcotic, and then you were arrested in 2017 under parole. So, and now you're back and you're asking us for discretionary parole. Well, I will say that you have behaved this time in the facility. You've had 7 failures. Your drug score is 4. You have not taken any substance abuse treatment. You rate out moderately, but your tendency for violence is there. It's evident. You really have to stop thinking that other people are the problem, sir. You are. So it doesn't matter who you're around. If you think that the way that you resolve conflict is to put your hands on someone, you're going to be right back in prison. This is too much for me to overlook these behavior. Like, I feel like they've given you chance after chance after chance, and you haven't taken advantage of them. And what is that saying about a dollar short, day late? So
Day late and a dollar short.
Day late.
yeah. I think that, I'm glad, I definitely hear that you want to change and be a better person. I don't see anything that supports that though. So I'm not going to support your request here today. And I really do hope that this is it for you. The last one, you have 5 years of probation to follow your sentence, and I hope you're successful in that. Okay, thank you. Ms. Turner.
I have no questions.
Thank you. So, Mr. Rodriguez, what is your position?
Well, I am not also today. And that's not to say that you did take TV and you didn't take voices.
Nobody's negating what he's done.
No, I agree, Madam Chair. But the minimizing the event, did you want to say something?
Go ahead.
Minimizing his events took place. Alcohol that did play a big role. Not having taken any kind of cheer program or any kind of alcohol program, so lack of program funding. The underlying violence in many of his past offenses, the fact that he's had 7 releases that were unsuccessful. I'm just not there today to granting him a special parole today.
Thank you. I think I've stated my position here. Ms. Turner?
I think one of the things that stood out for me most in this conversation with Mr. Brown was part of his opening statement where he said he should not have been put in this predicament.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that is an indication that he doesn't understand that he's driving his own ship.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the one being manipulative. He was the one orchestrating the violence that made the relationship toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, that he doesn't necessarily have the handle on the situation. We hear him doing a lot of mitigating the facts of his cases. There was 5 weeks in between the first protective order being issued and the police coming back and ordering a second, putting in place through the courts a second protective order. 5 weeks, and he had obviously no intention of abiding by them. He now has a standing criminal protective order against him until the year 2084, and that is a full no contact order that I hope he doesn't violate. But yes, it's a deny for me as well. Criminal history, nature, and circumstance.
I also have
Poor performance while on probation.
poor performance on community supervision is what I have as well.
Yeah.
Mhm. So with regard to Dwayne Brown 290411, I move that discretionary parole be denied in this case based on his criminal history, the nature and circumstance of his offense, and also poor performance while under community supervision with the 7 failures. There's second.
Second.
All in favor? All right, Mr. Brown, you receive all of this in writing, sir. Best of luck to you.
You guys have a good day.
You too.
Brown.
Yeah, great.
You're all set, sir.
All right, thanks. All right.
That guy definitely didn't stand a chance. Oh, they're blaming the victim and saying that he didn't realize it until the board members brought it up. Not a good look if you're trying to go home. And damn, that protective order is, man, like 100, almost like 100 years before you could come in contact with that, with the victim. Anyhow, what are your guys' thoughts on what just transpired right now?
Cause she's freezing over there. Great. You know, I got it. I'm not, so you know how much you got it, and then it has to be got it. I know. Yeah, I'm doing it. You might get one guy coming in, you're gonna have to see how. After that, thank you. I'll give you that.
Good morning. My name is Carlos Ortiz.
Lloyd.
It's Friday, October 11th, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Parole. The following board members are present this morning by stating their names on the record, certified and reviewed all statutorily required documents and available current information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, I'm panel member Barry.
Panel member Rodriguez, good morning.
Nancy Turner.
Good morning. Good morning.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Sylvester Lloyd, 294-851.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Sylvester Lloyd, inmate number 294-851. He is serving a sentence of 5 years executed suspended after 42 months jail with 3 years probation for violation of standing criminal protective order. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of June 20th, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender that has been reviewed because the offender has completed the domestic violence program and voices. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I should be granted, I'm thinking I should be granted parole because, I've been going through some hard times and I've been, wrestling, back and forth with this case for about almost 5 years. So with that, I had talked to the judge and the judge, told me that I have to do what is it, 3.5? That was settled with the 5 years hanging over my head. And which I just let him know that I just wanted to get over it and continue my life. I've been incarcerated for this time. And I understand why I'm incarcerated. I needed some time to shape it up and actually better myself. And at the same time, I have picked up a few things while I'm in here. Lord willing, if I get my parole and everything goes on right, I'm hoping that I could receive some help through DOC and parole or whatever type of help that they have to help with inmates about getting home, housing and stuff like that. And but far from here, I really believe that I'm eligible and hopefully that I can have parole, which
Thank
I
you
never
very
had before.
Yeah, no, you haven't. You were out on,
He's on special parole from 2013 to 2016.
right, but not discretionary parole, right?
Special what?
Special parole.
I was never on special parole.
I have,
Probation?
Madam Chair, just TS.
just TS, that's what I see, just TS.
Oh, you're on the
13.
TS a long time ago. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that was in
Yes, ma'am.
2020, I show. Um,
2002?
2020.
No way. I got TS in 2000.
2002. I just, okay, I
It's
transposed
okay.
the numbers. So I
It's all right.
apologize for that.
No
All
problem.
right, so, Mr. Lloyd, I heard you in your opening statement telling us why you think you deserve parole. And I can appreciate everything that you've offered.
Yes, ma'am.
What will happen here is each of us will take an opportunity to ask you some questions. When we are done, we will deliberate amongst ourselves. You can listen to that, and then we'll give you our decision, okay? And I'm going to begin with the questions. So I heard you say, and a lot of people that sit in that seat, you say, I'm eligible for parole. And that's true. Everyone that comes before the board, they are eligible for parole, but that's not our job. Our job is to determine your suitability.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
you understand the difference between the two?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the major concerns in reviewing your file was that you were on probation for a very serious offense, and then you violate the protective order. Tell us about what this assault second involved, and was it the same victim that the protective order was against?
Yeah, we had, I don't know what happened with it, but we had decided to start getting back together.
No, tell me about the assault second. Start there.
Like the first one, first charge.
The one that you were on probation for, where they gave you 6 months in prison and then you had 3 years of probation. And you violated that by violating the protective order. What happened with the assault second? What'd you do to her?
We had an argument. I remember us having an argument, that's all, because I went to the hospital the same time in that whole night. We were arguing, and I remember that either I had pushed her or something like that. And the next thing I knew, I got knocked out from behind, and then the ambulance had to try to tell me exactly what went on. I sat in jail that whole 6 months, not really knowing anything, because it was said from the judge not to
Let me
make.
remind you. So what happened was you got beat up or something. Someone beat you up at a gas station. And then you got mad at the victim because she let you get beat up or something. I mean, I don't know, but you were mad at her and then you punched her in the face 3 times.
At a gas station?
She said that you came back home, you had a seizure, and she was trying to help you and you beat her up because she let you get beat up. You don't remember that?
No. And if I probably, maybe if she did, I never, from the time after I got out to jail and I went back and talked to her.
So wait, let me stop you because you said we had an argument.
Yeah.
But you in fact beat her up. You got an assault second on a woman that you love.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that hurts me. It still hurts me.
Well, it hurts you. What do you think you did to her?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I said I hear you.
And then now you have this protective order in place. And how many times do you think you violated the protective order?
I think twice.
Okay, so I will say that they did nolly some of your charges. So I show you violated the protective order on 4/27/21, right? 4/27/21.
June. I knew it was in June.
You're in for the June one, where you threatened to kill her, and she called the police because she thought you were. Or did she text? Was this the case where she texted the police 911 that he's gonna kill me?
I have no idea.
Yeah, no, that yeah. But
No, because I think she called the 911 because he had the seizure.
Right.
oh, okay, yeah. But you threatened to kill her still.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got into an argument with her over something from the past, right?
Yeah,
you don't remember any of it. You want to know why you don't remember?
I haven't seen, actually, I haven't seen that woman in almost 2 or 3 years now.
That's okay, but you were drunk. That's why you don't remember a lot of this.
Yeah, we
You know,
were
or
both-
high, drunk or high.
Yeah, we both was getting kind of tipsy.
Well, we're
Yes,
not
ma'am.
talking to
You're the
her.
one that committed a
I was
crime.
about to say, we're not
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
to her.
I know.
We're talking to you. And
Yes,
we're talking
I
about
understand.
your behaviors. And you're
Yes, ma'am.
saying to us that you've changed because you've had time to think about your actions and time
Yes,
to
ma'am.
work on yourself and improve yourself. But you really didn't mention anything about the victim in your opening statement. And I think it's difficult for you to talk about her now. You talked about you're having hard times and you're wrestling back and forth with the judge on this case and your sentence, and you just wanted to get it over and done with. That's not a reason why you deserve parole, sir. A person that thinks that they should be considered for parole would say, because I know that I'm not supposed to put my hands on another person, regardless of how angry I get.
I definitely know that, but at the time, I was, even when I was in court, they were telling me about what happened, and I told them, well, I'm in jail. I understand that. Now, when I talked to my side of the family, they said that that's what happened. I felt bad, and I didn't, I still, right now, I still believe that I don't remember doing that at all. Okay. After
Her injuries were visible. The police noted it.
After I had got out of jail, it was said to me and from her that she never had to go to the hospital or anything.
It wasn't that she didn't have to go, sir.
She never
refused to go.
Yes. Okay.
But
Maybe,
it doesn't matter whether or not she went to the hospital.
It doesn't. I know it doesn't. I know it doesn't at all. And when I had the chance to explain to her for the second time, I told her, I said, listen, that's not me. It's not in my spirit to do that, and there's nothing I can do or say to take back what happened, because so many things, I'm a victim myself in my life. And
you're not in prison because you victimized yourself.
No, I said no.
It burns me up when I understand that you may consider yourself a victim, but you're in prison right now because you victimized someone else. And if you understand that you're a victim, sir, I would suggest that you take this time really to address that abuse that you've encountered.
Yeah,
because if you don't, then you're going to keep coming right back to prison. It doesn't sound like it, because you're still.
I did during all my program classes and stuff. I had to put that down on paper, but I was told that I couldn't bring too much stuff with me to this thing here, so I apologize.
Yeah. No, it's okay. We do our homework, so we have reviewed your the information that you learned in your program. You did receive excellent evaluations from both of them. They said that you were able to identify your anger cues and your emotions and feelings. They said that you were going to practice avoiding conflict, and that you realized that you could be manipulative. That that was one of the words that I wrote down: manipulation. And then in voices, you said you're going to think before you act. You understand that you have the impact of your actions on a victim, but we haven't just said any of that stuff here today. So we've read it, but you're not telling us any of that. But nonetheless, you have, I see a disorderly conduct. I see 2 breach of pieces. I see a threatening in 2019, a larceny 5, where you beat up the prevention store, the security at the store, because they were trying to keep you, apprehend you because you were stealing, obviously. You had a machete in 2019 with the threatening. It's just, it goes on and on. It's not a good look, sir. It's a lot, and you rate out high. you know, I wish honestly, I hope the light bulb has gone off for you because the sentences are going to get longer and longer, sir. They really are. And I wish that I could say I would be able to support you at your discretionary parole, but I can't. I based on your history, sir, I can't. You're considered a risk, and the violence is there. And my job is to release individuals who I believe will go back into the community and be law-abiding, contributing members that really don't have a propensity for violence. And I know that that's a huge word. It means that you know, the chance, the likelihood. Go ahead. The likelihood.
I'm not a violent man to no man or to no woman.
Sir,
I was brought up all around females. All my kid,
Sir, did you hear me say to you that you beat up the loss prevention guy because you were stealing?
I didn't beat him up.
It says you punched him. You punched him 3 times.
It's me versus their report.
Okay, their report. You're right. All right. And did you have a fight with your dad too? Because I wrote you beat up your dad.
My dad is deceased.
Right, but back when did you have a fight with him?
No.
Okay. All right, Ms. Turner.
I just wanted to clarify, Mr. Lloyd, how many children do you have?
I have 2.
And what are their ages?
They're grown 25 and 24.
Okay, I have no more questions for him.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Thank you. I think again, I'm sorry to both of you for I'm letting my position be known up front, and it's not that I don't see Mr. Lloyd making progress. He's received no disciplinary infractions. He's taken the appropriate programming. However, when you look at that up against his criminal history, the fact that he was under supervision, still behaving this way, this lady has not 1, but 2 protective orders in place because she's afraid of this man. And he hasn't taken anything to address his substance abuse, which is a 4. So there's a number of reasons for no for me. So.
Well, then I think that on some level he victimized himself in many ways. The victim in this particular case. I mean,
yeah.
And
I'm sure that
I can get past that sometimes.
It burns me up when they say, but I understand that we've all suffered some kind of trauma and we've been a victim at some point in our lives. However, I'm not in prison because of what I did to myself. So that's the only thing. What are your thoughts, Ms. Turner?
I share the concerns of my colleagues. And I hope that when Mr. Lloyd is back in the community, he can abide by the standing criminal protective order that's in place until the year 2080.
There's one in place until 2083.
Oh, wow.
2083.
2080.
Yeah, there is one for 2080. There's a second one. Yeah. But nonetheless, so my reasons for denial are he was on probation, his criminal history. Anything else? Nature and circumstance?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I move that Sylvester Lloyd 294851 be denied discretionary parole based on his criminal history, the nature of his offense, and his offense being committed while on probation. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, Mr. Lloyd, you'll get all of this in writing, sir. Good luck to you.
I hear you.
For Sylvester Lloyd, inmate number 294.
Thank you. Your request for your discretionary parole has been denied. So you'll receive all of this in writing.
All right, so when you gotta appeal it and all that other stuff, get my lawyer or what? All right.
What? Appeal what?
There is no appeal to a parole system.
Let's see. Please come on in. I'm looking for this guy. I'm sorry.
Ortiz, correct?
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Menard. Today is Friday, October 11th, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Parole. The following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record, certify they reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Panel member Barry,
Panel Member Rodriguez.
Nancy Turner.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Carlos Ortiz, 339899.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Carlos Ortiz, inmate number 339899. He is serving a sentence of 15 years executed suspended after 7 years jail with 5 years probation for 18 counts of burglary third, 3 counts of failure to appear first. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of September 16th, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the following. He's completed good intentions, bad choices, tier 4, the CLIck program. He's participating in the dog program, the C-Car Recovery Coach Academy, completed domestic violence, voices, embracing fatherhood, anger management, alternatives to violence, people empowering people, and is also participating in the Second Chance Adult program. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the very high range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Yes, good morning. I have a statement prepared for the board. This is the time where I would read it.
yes, go ahead,
Yes.
sir, thank you.
All right, thank you. I would like to begin by saying that I sit here a changed man. I now understand that when I committed these crimes, I stole more than just money and property. I stole valuable things from the people I victimized that cannot easily be replaced. I stole their sense of security, I stole their peace of mind, and I stole their comfort. I was a bum and a cowardly man that had no morals. I pray daily for the forgiveness and that all the things I've taken from these honest people be returned in some way. I want to apologize for the way I've harmed these hardworking individuals and the people I've affected due to my lack of carelessness in the past. So if you're tuned in, I am sorry. I'm sorry for all the things I selfishly took from you. I'm sorry for disregarding your humanity, and I'm sorry for violating you. Please forgive me. I am 35 years old and I have so much to be sorry for, including but not limited to these crimes. I have done a lot of wrong in my past. I fear waking up in a jail cell as an old man having lived an entire life that warrants an apology. Enough is enough. I've been stuck on stupid for way too long. Who I was is not who I am, and that man is not who I will continue to be moving forward. I know my road to redemption begins with a true sense of remorse, but sorry is more than a word, more than a feeling. Anyone can say sorry, but not everyone embodies it, and I used to be one of those people. I have taken every program possible so that I can grasp the tools of change in ways I have not in the past, and I will continue programming, recovery, and education upon my release, no matter what the next step in this journey is for me. I have realized that if I want a different result, I had no choice but to change my way of thinking. I have participated in Voices Domestic Violence program, both basic and advanced training in alternative to violence, both in Embracing Fatherhood and the regular fatherhood program, Tier 4, where I was an elder and the first to complete 90 recovery meetings in 90 days in the last 3 years, before transitioning to the aftercare program, where I became a tier man while attending daily meetings as I waited for a position in the American Vet Dog Program to open up, which I'm currently a primary dog handler in with a puppy named Reynolds. I've also completed Good Intentions, Bad Choices, Yale's People Empowering People, C-Car's Recovery Coach Academy, where I've become a recovery coach, and most recently completed extra training in ethics and professionalism, as well as gaining a recovery coach professionalism designation. This training will help me get a job in the addiction service field when I get home. and I've been meeting with a C-Car recovery coach for a while and have contacts to connect with upon my release. Currently, I'm also in a parent and children book program called CLICK, and I have a 4.0 GPA in college, majoring in business and minoring in human services. While serving my current debt, I'm driven by my desire to never hurt anyone else and completely exile crime from my life, and not to just say I'm sorry, but to prove it. All I can do is preach about change at this point, and I'm asking your permission to grant me freedom so that this version of me can prove it. I've learned so much from these programs and have truly taken the knowledge I've gained and fused it to my personality and daily life in here. And I am excited to take this version of me out there. I could sit here and give you a generic breakdown of what every program taught me one by one, but I'd rather be authentic. The combination of all these trainings has taught me first and foremost, no one deserves to be victimized by anyone, and has given me something I've never had before, which is a conscience. I've learned my actions affect more than just the people I've harmed, but their families, my family, and all our communities as well. I now can see there is more than one path to being successful, and I now can see that having ill-gotten money from stolen, hard-working, I can now see that having ill-gotten money stolen from hard-working people is not a form of success amongst normal people. It's success amongst people I no longer associate or care to impress, the lowlifes. I've learned to think before I move, to sympathize before I judge, and that nothing comes without work. And when bumps in the road come, I can finally get through it with a community of like-minded, honest, and recovering people. In closing, I'd like to say we all know that with a click of a button, you have full access to my life story up to this point. It's not a secret that I violated almost every sense of supervision in the past. The secret is that before I was released on my past supervisions, I was not ready. I used to wear my inmate number and felonies like a badge of honor among the people I used to call my people, the criminals. Today I stand before you a changed man. I pray to God that I will not die a felon or a criminal. Today I value my life, my relationships, and my freedom, and the lives and freedom of others. The state of mind I insanely had no longer exists within me. I have goals, I have integrity, I have value, and I beg you all to please give this version of me one more shot at freedom. I swear to God, I won't need another one. Thank you for listening. And
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I also have a plan A and plan B for my post-release plan. If anybody's interested in.
I think that we're all interested in your release plan, sir, but I more importantly think that we have some specific questions that we've prepared in preparation for today's hearing.
Okay.
So if we could get to the question part, and perhaps we can discuss your plan A and B in that. Is that okay?
Okay. Yes.
All right. Thank you for preparing your opening statement, sir. You did a great job delivering it. Some of the language was a little over the top for me, but for the most part, you apologized, you accepted responsibility, you told us what you've learned in the programs, and I appreciate what you've shared thus far. So you've been before the parole board before, so you know exactly how this works. We're going to start the questions with Ms. Turner.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Ortiz.
Good morning.
So, yes, thank you for writing out that opening statement. You covered a lot of ground. Tell me what your drug of choice is.
In the past, my drug of choice was marijuana and alcohol, and I have experimented with ecstasy.
So when you were breaking into all of these different establishments, you were under the influence at the time?
No, I wasn't currently. There might have been a few times that I was under the influence of marijuana, but weren't the driving factors.
Okay. What was the driving factor?
To be quite honest, like back then, I didn't have any morals for anybody, or like my moral compass was like way off. I had no sense of remorse for anything that I did at that point in time. So it was really just I was being lazy, didn't want to work. I was being a bum. I felt like I felt like everything outside of what normal living should be was more important. Like I chose the streets over my family. I chose to not really try to value anything that was really important. So honestly, I didn't see any value in anything or anybody that was in my path, unfortunately.
I see that you have one co-defendant. Did you
Yes.
perpetrate most of these burglaries by yourself?
No.
So you were taking money and items out of these stores
Yes, ma'am.
to resell, to support yourself? Why?
So yes, so the patterns that led me to being homeless and everything like that, I was instead of doing the right thing and getting a job or not being on a run, yes, I was entering the stores, getting tobacco products and things like that to resell.
Okay, so you were breaking in and
Yes.
stealing.
Yeah, breaking and stealing, yes.
Okay, that's different language than what you were using.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Enter.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes,
Take.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
correct. Yes, I was breaking in and stealing objects to resell to fund whatever stupidity I was doing for the day, whether it was trying to get a hotel room or just hang out.
Pay for your marijuana.
Yes, correct. Pay for my marijuana, my alcohol.
Well, you were
Really
taking
just-
alcohol, you did a number of liquor stores. So, what did you learn about your abuse of substances in Tier 4?
So Tier 4 taught me about more than just the abuse of substances, but so I now understand how to stay away from the people, the places, and the things that kind of influence my behavior a little bit. And Tier 4 has also helped me like with my criminal mind frame and taking accountability for my actions. And
Right. The question was about your addiction. What did you learn about what was behind your addiction to substances?
I just learned how to get through the urges and things like that.
Okay, so you didn't unpack, was it, trauma and you were medicating feelings, self-medicating? Why were you?
So I'm sure for some people that's the case. I don't like to try to blame my upbringing on anything that I've ever done, including using marijuana and stuff like that, because it started years ago amongst friends, and I just snowballed it out of control.
Mhm.
So
That's what happens with addiction.
Yes.
So were you trying to fit in? Were you having low self-esteem? I'm not looking for blame. I'm looking for insight.
Yes, in the beginning, it was to fit in, and then it just became something that was more enjoyable to me than anything else.
So it shifted all your priorities.
Yes.
What did you learn in the domestic violence program about what a healthy relationship looks like?
So for a healthy relationship, is communication, equality, and that I'm not the boss of anybody. So I used to feel like because I was a man, I had some type of status in the relationship, and that the women that I was with was beneath me, and that I could do and say anything to them. And I learned that that's not the case. I mean, I should have learned it years ago, but I got it now. And so yeah.
Especially because your whole support system sounds like it's made up of women. So I think that's interesting that you would have not had any sense of respect for women. Does trust factor into a healthy relationship?
Yes, on both parties, yes.
Because if you can't trust the person you're with, you shouldn't be with them.
Yeah, there's no point. Just to touch base on, yes, I did grow up around mostly women, and I'm sure psychologists can figure out why I decided to pinpoint all my abuse to women in relationships. But I do plan on going to some type of therapy when I get home so that I can further, add things to my tool belt so that I can strengthen any type of relationship that I enter.
Yeah, because obviously there's some power and control issues. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So from fatherhood, you have 3 children?
Yes.
Which children Which age children are you doing the CLICK program with?
My 10-year-old daughter and my 9-year-old son.
And were any of the abusive relationships with the mothers of your children?
In the past, yes, my older two children, me and her have had a domestic relationship in the past.
What does that mean? Me and her have had a domestic relationship in the past.
Yes,
you perpetrated domestic violence against your partner in the past. Is that what you're saying?
Well, she's not my partner currently,
No,
but yes, yes.
That was
I've
in the
heard-
past. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've not heard that we had a domestic relationship in the past.
Yeah, so I should have probably used a toxic relationship instead of domestic relationship, but I was a very toxic person in the beginning of me and her relationship.
Right. Well, that abuse makes for toxicity. It
Yes.
doesn't, it's not a mutual thing.
No,
Okay.
It's not a mutual thing.
All right. So, so what did you learn in the domestic violence program about how children are impacted by domestic violence?
Yeah, so I realized that just because they might be sleeping in another room doesn't mean that they don't hear what's going on. And
well, and they're living in the tension
yes,
of the household. Mhm.
yeah, they see the holes in the walls. They see mommy and daddy yelling at each other.
They see the mother fearful of you.
Yes, correct. I learned that it plays a big role sometimes in their personalities as they grow up, because they start having anger issues and they don't know how to they don't know how to contain their emotions in a proper, healthy way, because they see somebody that they look up to not being able to do that.
It also impacts their self-esteem.
Yes.
So it makes them more susceptible to accept abusive treatment from their partners going forward in life.
Yes, that's definitely true. I've had situations where I had to talk to my daughter about being around people and because she ended up becoming a bully in school. And then when she kind of grew out of that, she started accepting being bullied by other people. And I can't blame anybody but myself, because that's what she's seen from me.
So you don't have a sponsor. Do you have regular contact with your children?
Yes, I call them multiple times a week, and their mother signs up for video visits as often as she can. She contacted the warden and asked to be placed on my visiting list a few years ago for the specific reason of contacting my children.
So it sounds like you'll be able to have visitation and when you're back out in the community.
Yes.
Without necessarily having to go to court.
Yes.
But if there is tension and there is conflict, you need to go to court and get your visitation formalized.
Yes.
So that you're not engaging in anything that would rise to the level of a crime.
Yes. So, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, me and my children's mother, at this point in our life, our communication is like impeccable. So we're still planning on going to court to set a visitation anyway, just so that everything can be structured.
You do appreciate that you have 8 years of this sentence over your head when you go back out into the community and do your 5 years of probation?
Yes, that's something that
Violation of that probation can bring you back. You can be made to serve those 8 years.
Yes, I understand that.
Make sure you take it very seriously.
I definitely will.
I think what my colleague was referring to about your language was you used criminals and lowlifes to
Yes.
describe other people probably suffering with some of the same issues and
Mhm.
struggles that you yourself have.
Yes.
And I would encourage you, as you go into this recovery community coaching position, to have a bit more compassion for people. These are adjectives. They shouldn't be used as nouns. Like, we don't talk about people as being addicts. We talk about
Yes.
people as suffering from an addiction. And, you yourself could have easily, since 2006, when you started committing burglaries, be considered a low life. And
Yes.
that's dehumanizing of someone. It's making poor choices. It's engaging in criminal behavior. It shouldn't be so stigmatizing as to refer to another human being as a low life.
Yes. So just to touch base on that, I was talking about myself as well, but I do sometimes speak a little bit more dramatically and stuff like that. And I'm definitely going to take that in consideration, because during my C-card training, a lot of the language stuff that I'm used to saying and thinking is one of the key points that I have to change if I'm going to be a successful recovery coach. So I appreciate.
Ethically, you don't want to take somebody's humanity away from them by throwing disparaging labels on them. They're adjectives, not nouns. That's what I would say to you.
I appreciate it.
So, Mr. Ortiz, I'm glad for you and for our state that you've decided to turn things around. In the 7 years that I've been doing this job, 18 burglary threes is probably a new record.
Disgusting.
It's so much damage. I think you'd be astonished if each of these business owners totaled up the financial impact your crimes had on their businesses. And, were you to pay restitution, it would probably take you more than 10 years to pay back, from repairing doors to, fortifying their businesses with cameras and security systems, paying security companies to monitor. I mean, it's really.
And insurance.
Yeah, and insurance that then we all pay for. It's not to be taken lightly. I mean, you're still only designated 50% for your sentence, which was causing tremendous harm and expense, just in police response time and investigation and report writing alone. So I'm grateful to see that you want something more for yourself in life, and your behavior there in the facility this period of incarceration has been without problem. And I encourage you to continue on your path to education. I think you probably have a lot more to offer others than, simply a CDL career. And I also appreciate the amount of opportunities that DOC has afforded you as a single individual.
I know.
It's extremely rare to see all of these opportunities given to one person. So I hope you will not squander the investment that's been made in you. And I wish you much success, sir. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Ortiz, my colleague covered lots of ground. And you were able to answer lots of questions. I just have a couple of things. Basically, one, in reading some of your documentation, and I know you said that part of your reasons for committing these offenses, your substance use, some of it, not all of it. But I also read that you got a thrill out of committing these offenses. And in fact, I think in one situation you were talking about the rush that it gave you to do this. So it wasn't just the drugs. And I'm wondering, is that something you've been working on Since it wasn't, from what I read, it wasn't just your addiction that created this issue, that in fact, something else was going on. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that? Is that something that you addressed separate from your addiction issue?
Yes. So as a child, getting away with anything gave me a thrill. So as I grew older and the getting away with stuff became more like toxic and illegal, that thrill became stronger and stronger. So at one point in life, I was partially addicted to the thrill of just getting away with things. And at this point in my life, I can't even miss a paper and like throw garbage, throw a piece of paper in a garbage can, miss it and walk away without feeling guilty. I know that I have a lot more work to do when I get home. And there's not been a lot of situations in here where I can say that I could have potentially had a thrilling moment. But I've addressed certain things within my criminal mind frame in programs like Tier 4 that it has prepared me to go home and really understand that I'm not cured, I'm not fixed. I still have a maintenance program I need to work, and that's going to be therapy, and that's going to be programming in groups and surrounding myself with positive people that don't think taking or breaking something that doesn't belong to them is the right way to go.
Yeah, definitely, I think you need to really focus on some of that work. I mean, you found it exciting to be able to do some of that, and it kind of, gave you this rush feeling, which is what drugs do as well. I mean, obviously some increase of endorphins went on with this, but that's another area related to addiction that you really need to focus in on, I think, because you really talked about it very significantly. Some of the prior interviews with you.
Yes. My mental health and avoiding my old personality is very important to me at this stage of my life. I can't keep putting myself, my community, other people's communities, my family in jeopardy because I don't want to work on myself. So I've done everything that I possibly can to change myself, and I haven't worked this hard to be the same person. I didn't do anything in here that's positive. To hope that y'all look at me differently. This is to change my life. Regardless of what the hearing ends with today, I'm a different person, and all I can do is thank Osborn for giving me all these opportunities.
You've gotten a lot of opportunity. I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Ortiz. Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. And Mr. Ortiz, I just have one thing to add. When you were on supervision in the community before, you were doing things like cutting your GPS off.
Yes.
And, and it wasn't because of your substance abuse. It was just because you didn't want to be supervised. I mean, so it's concerning to me. I just want to say, as a board member, to hear you have you have completed the number of programs that you've completed, and many people who really do struggle with their decision makings and things like that haven't been afforded these opportunities. My colleagues have said that, like, they're true people, and to do this because you were lazy and didn't want to work and you were living beyond your means is very troubling to me. It's concerning, because for us, I think it's easier for us to understand or to grasp when we're dealing with people who have substance abuse issues, or for people who have, trauma in their lives and they react angrily, they take it out on other people. We don't condone any of it. However, it's easier for us to understand. But in your situation, I will say, it's pretty unique. 18 burglaries, out of selfishness is a lot. So it's concerning. I just wanted to put that out there. There's no way to really gauge whether or not you're going to do this again, because again, you don't really have a substantive reason for doing it other than selfish greed.
That's true.
Okay. Give us a few minutes to talk about your case. Ms. Turner.
So, on that note, I think, the change that we're hearing in Mr. Ortiz involves some insight, and some perspective. I feel like he appreciates the harm he was causing out in the community. And he's able to identify some of what was underlying it, and his, as he calls it, moral failings, that led to basically this crime spree that was going on for a very protracted period of 2019 and 2020.
Well beyond that, though,
Yeah.
Ms. Turner.
Right, but I mean, for the charges for the 18 that we're looking at right now, yes, because he did his first offense in 2006 was burglary third.
I mean, you're out and you're working, though, and you're getting fired because you're stealing from work. Like, it's just, I'm sorry, it's concerning.
Absolutely. And what we have to go on is his record there in the facility, as indications of change.
Yep.
He's been dedicated to his education, to skill building, and his recovery. So he has that going for him. This would amount to actually 2 years, 3 years. I'm sorry, of discretionary parole, which I like the higher level of supervision and oversight as he makes a transition both in who he is and how he's going to live his life. So I don't believe there's anything left for him to do there in the facility. So I think he's earned this opportunity. And, he's going to have people in his business for the next 8 years. And if he really is who he says he is now, that won't be a problem for him. And if he's misrepresenting and is not being authentic, we're going to see him back.
Right. Thank you.
So that's where I am.
Thank you. Mr. Ortiz, I just do have one follow-up question. I know you asked for a halfway house in the Hartford area as your first choice because your job, I think, is in Manchester.
Correct.
What happens if you get the halfway house in New Haven?
So on my plan B, that's based on if I got a halfway house in New Haven. As you can probably see, I've never had an issue getting jobs. It's just the mentality I had didn't allow me to continue to keep them because I was stupid. So I'm gonna go to like CT Works, build up my resume, get my resume together, upload it on your system, and just pound the pavement. Do the applications on my phone, take advantage of the time out the halfway house to go meet with managers and things of that nature to obtain employment.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez.
I'm in favor of discretion.
All right. So I have no alcohol, halfway house, and I have a co-defendant. Do you want domestic violence as well? He did it in there. Do we want him to do it in the community?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I'm talking to Mike.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I was vacillating on the mental health evaluation and treatment, but I think he's capable of advocating for himself and recognizing when he needs that additional support.
Okay. All right. So with regard to Carlos Ortiz 339899, I move to grant discretionary parole on or after today's date, October 11th, 2024, with the following conditions in addition to standard parole conditions. You are to consume no alcoholic beverages. You'll have no contact with your co-defendant, Jarrell Hendricks. You'll participate in domestic violence in the community, and you'll be released to a halfway house for residential placement. Did I say everything? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, Mr. Ortiz, you'll receive all of this in writing, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
This concludes the hearing for Carlos Ortiz. 33898.
Thank you.
You get it.
Yep, Mr.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Menard. Today is Friday, October 11th, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. Following board members are present this morning, and by stating their names on the record, certify they review all necessarily required documents and available current information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning. I'm Panel Member Barry.
Good morning, panel member Rodriguez.
Nancy Turner.
Good morning.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Ryan Tatro, 326-375.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Ryan Tatro, inmate number 326-375. He is serving a sentence of 3 years jail flat for 2 counts of criminal violation of restraining order, 1 count of threatening purse, and a violation of probation with an underlying offense of threatening purse. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of June 20th, 2024. There is no recognition in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the domestic violence program. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SOT falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I believe that I should be granted parole on the grounds that I have completed my programs and stayed outside of tickets and stayed free of getting in trouble and followed the rules.
Mr. Tetreault, I'm going to stop you, sir. This is an exercise of honesty.
Yes, ma'am.
We've reviewed your file thoroughly, and so we do know, as the officer stated, haven't completed all your programs and you have received disciplinary infraction. So I think you
believe I'm only supposed to do the domestic violence program, ma'am.
there are several other
Addiction
programs.
services and voices.
Voices.
Right. So I did my domestic violence program, and when I went to sign up for voices, they informed me that because I did domestic violence, it covers voices. So
Sir, that's not true. That's not true. And I would say that when you make a statement, a blanket statement, like I haven't received any tickets and I've completed all of my programs, to us, we take that literally. We take it literal. It's not aside from this. No, I did get 1 ticket. I've completed domestic violence. I've asked for my other programs. Let's start over. Tell us why you think you deserve parole.
So I received a ticket at the beginning of my sentence. I made a lot of adjustments to make sure that didn't happen again. Since that happened, I've made it a point to follow the rules and be calm with everything. I did the domestic violence program. I participated. I wasn't just a seat filler. I listened, I engaged, I took away from the program as much as I hope to have brought to it. I've spent the entire time that I've been incarcerated reflecting on how I could have done things different. Reflected on the mistakes I've made and thought almost every day about how this isn't just affecting me. This is also affecting my 4-year-old, and it's affecting my family and people that I'm supposed to be responsible for. I'm not taking care of. I'm not holding up my end of it. That this
Stop there, Mr. Tetreault. Tell us how you can avoid these behaviors in the future.
I had zero communication in the past. I thought what I thought was communication in my relationships actually come to find out wasn't. I thought because I was hearing what the other person was saying, I was listening, and I wasn't. And I was in the impression that I knew what a healthy relationship was, and I was wrong. I was basing everything I knew off of what I saw growing up as a kid that I know to not be a healthy relationship.
And so tell us what do you think your actions have had, the impact your actions have had on your victims?
Oh, well, I know that it's caused a lot of financial hardship with my wife, not to mention the emotional that it has to have caused, that somebody she was supposed to trust and somebody that was supposed to take care of her failed in that. My 4-year-old, I haven't seen since he was almost two, and he's autistic and doesn't understand where dad is, just knows that dad's not there. So I can't imagine what that must be like for him. Not to mention the entire time I've been here, my wife is single parented. She's not been able to get a break. No, she hasn't had the help of a spouse like she's supposed to have.
All right. So, Mr. Tetreault, those are the kinds of things that we really do look for in opening statements. We want to know how you can avoid those behaviors, what programs you've participated in, how you've been able to abide by the rules while you've been in prison, kind of, what's going to be different this time when you go out into the community opposed to others, kind of thing. So you answered more of those questions. And I think you really got off to a rocky start. So I was trying to kind of guide you along so that we could get some substance about how you think that you'll do better out in the community this time. So I appreciate the information that you've offered thus far. I'm not the person that was supposed to start with the questions. Again,
Well, you did a nice job.
I was trying to guide you so that we could get more information from you. Mr. Rodriguez will start with the questions, okay?
So I'm not going to go to those questions, Mr. Tetreault. Tetreault, right?
Tatro, yeah.
Tetreault, Mr. Tetreault. I have a few concerns, right? Separate from your opening statement, I have a few concerns. Your current offenses, the fact that you have prior offenses, multi-state offenses, basically around the same issue, threatening, restraining orders, protective orders. You've got 5 unsuccessful community releases, which kind of tells me that you have some challenges when you get on the outside and you got to deal with whatever normal life things happen. You have programs that you still haven't taken. You didn't take an addiction services program, and we've got a substance abuse score of 4, which is right below the highest possible score, which is a 5. And the drugs that you've used concern me. So you've got Vicodin, heroin that you've named, marijuana that you've used. You have a release plan that you're talking about going to your father's as a sponsor, and he had an alcohol problem. So we're not even sure about that particular situation. So you can hear that there are several areas of concerns that I have around being able to find you suitable for release today. So I really need to hear from you. Why should we consider this release today?
So I know I do have a significant history with drugs and alcohol. I got myself clean in 2019 and I was active with Perceptions program. Right up until my incarceration date. I was twice a month over the phone, telehealth with a counselor. I was attending meetings and I was staying clean and sober. I was on probation and I didn't have any dirty urines with probation. I never had an issue with them at all. Right up until everything in my life pretty much exploded. So.
And then you relapsed?
Well, not exactly. There was an issue with me and my wife. That was handled very poorly on my part. And I, at that point, just gave up on everything, and I just got these charges, and everything just happened, and I came to jail. So I was taking medications through Perceptions program, one of which was an amphetamine, and one of which was a mood stabilizer, and they weren't affecting me the way they were supposed to. They were actually giving me a very negative effect. Those aren't anything that I plan to get back. I do plan to go back to Perceptions programs for my counseling. I did feel as though it was beneficial to me. As far as my father's concerned, my father's been a lifelong alcoholic. His residence is not any place that I intend on staying, and for any type of long-term period. On top of the fact that he's old and he does his own thing. But I have gainful employment, so I would be able to get my job back and get my own place relatively fast.
But you're gonna need the job back because you also have child support.
Yes. Yes,
which is quite a bit of an arrearage. It's gonna apply some pressure to you.
Yeah, I have a pretty well-paying job at Colt Plastics. When I came in, I was a maintenance tech over there, and I used to have a paper from the HR department over there voicing their desire to have me back as an employee. I tried to get it photocopied when I was in Corrigan, and then I got transferred here to Osborn, and in the process, I divorced it because I never got it back from the counselor. I did try to get it back, but by that point, it was too late, because I wanted to actually show that to you guys. So I feel as though that with my job at Colt Plastics, I would be able to make enough to pay my current child support payment plus some towards the rearages and still maintain a residence.
Okay. But I'm still having, this challenge around your ability to be successful on the outside. What happened in the 5 unsuccessful times that you were out? What didn't work for you?
I'm not entirely sure which times you're talking about, but I feel like you might be mentioning probation in New Hampshire.
Well, a variety of places, but yeah, New Hampshire.
So as previously disclosed, I had a serious drug problem, and I was younger, much younger at the time, and I just kept falling back into the drugs. I wasn't actually taking steps to make sure that that didn't happen at the time.
And that takes to that concern about not having taken the addiction programming.
Right. I actually have request slips. I wrote to addiction services and asked them about screening for addiction services, and they said that I just had a referral to them, and that if I wanted to be screened for it, to write back to them and be screened for it.
Did you write back to be screened for it?
Actually, I believe I was told I was on the wait list for tier 2.
Well, that's a challenge that I have in this particular case, and it doesn't put me in a real positive place with your particular situation at this point. So I don't have a whole lot of other questions for you. I'm pretty much done with my questioning. I'm going to pass it on to my colleagues. But thank you so much for answering my questions. Listen, I wish you the best of luck, but I really think you need to consider additional programming that you may need to be taking before you consider coming out.
Well, I hope that I can ease your mind with the fact that I have in place a plan to go back to my addiction services that I was utilizing on the street. It's in my area, it's local.
I'm going to be honest with you. Understanding addiction as I do, it doesn't make me feel comfortable. So just so you know, I mean, I think you need to start that now and then maybe get that, working as a plan when you decide to come out at some point. That's where I'm at. Thank you so much for answering my question.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. And Mr. Tetreault, to piggyback on what he's saying, I thought that I read that you were like in a meth program or on a medicated assistant program while you were out in the community and still using?
No, ma'am.
Okay, that's not okay. All right. So the problem that we have, well, I have, is you're telling us that you were taking the medication with perceptions, and the medication, if I'm hearing you correctly, really wasn't working, right? Is that fair?
Yes.
And so you were stealing your wife's medicine and your kids' medicine to get high?
No, ma'am. That was an allegation that my wife made.
Okay. So what were you doing with the medicine then?
Well, I wasn't actually taking it. I wasn't taking the medication that was coming up missing. It was later disclosed that my stepson was stealing it just to cause fights between me and my wife.
All right. So let's even move beyond that. I showed that I think my colleague talked to you about all the drugs except for methadone. You were taking methadone too at some point, right?
Yes, I was in a methadone clinic in New Hampshire for a couple of months. And
when was that?
That was years ago. I want to say 2016 or 17. It was quite a while ago.
I swore I read that you
Other
said
than that, I've never taken methadone.
Okay, that's why I thought you were in treatment and still using drugs somewhere along the line.
No, ma'am.
And I read that. But anyway, your five failures were, you had one in 2003 in Massachusetts, and then you had the New Hampshire violation of probations in 2004, 2005, 2015, and now this VOP.
2003 in Massachusetts.
2004, 2005, and 2015 in New Hampshire. In 2023, you had a threatening in 2021. They put you on probation and you violated that.
In Massachusetts, I have a paper. I have a paper from Massachusetts saying that I successfully completed that.
Yeah, but you violated it. At one point, they terminated it on 4/15/2023 because you had the violations.
They put a violation hearing in for this case here that I'm doing a sentence on now.
But it's still a violation, sir.
Yes, I understand. But they opted not to pursue the violation, reinstated, and sent me a paper saying that I successfully completed.
So here's the deal, sir. You haven't done well under community supervision. You rate out high. You haven't taken any program to address your substance abuse. You're a multi-state offender with convictions in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and now California and Connecticut. And who is Corinne or Corin?
Corinne?
Yeah.
Corinne was just a friend that I knew for most of my life.
Why'd you show up on her porch with a knife?
I didn't. It was an
everybody making all this stuff up?
No, it was an unfounded allegation. I never had a firearm.
But you were convicted for that. Do you know that?
Yes.
It's too much for me, Mr. Tetreault. I'm sorry. I cannot support you today for discretionary parole. I don't think you're suitable. I think you're a risk. I think you really have a lot more work to do on yourself. And I really do hope that you take the time that you have left to really work on yourself so that you don't find yourself back here again. Ms. Turner?
What is the status of your relationship?
With,
The victim, your wife?
she would like to see me home. Actually, I'm sure she's watching this right now, losing her mind. As far as I know, it's well.
So you plan to reconcile when you're back in the community?
As well as she does, yes.
And this is somebody that you said to her, no one cares if you die. They're never going to find your body. And when I get out of jail, I'm coming for you.
I don't know what you're actually reading from, but I've never seen the statement that you're reading.
I'm reading an affidavit.
I do understand that she
dated October 2022.
I do understand that she made a lengthy statement to the state police. My wife was very upset with me because we were in the process of splitting up. She didn't want me to leave. And I put an ex parte order in to gain custody of my child, and she came after me as hard as she could at that point. I know if you were to speak to her, she would tell you that there's a lot of things in her statement that I didn't actually say to her, and that she wants me to be home. She has actually been at almost all of my court dates and spoken to victim impact and victim advocates and everything else advocating for me to come home.
Wow. Okay. Well, she was sent a letter and had an opportunity to give input at today's hearing, and apparently didn't choose to do so. And, you know, the way it reads, this is what she reported right in the heat of the incident. And it comes across with as credible, her fear of you and the things that you were saying. Are you aware of the concept of suicide by cop?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Because that's how the situation read when you went to Corinne's home with the shotgun and told her they were after you, and it sounded like you had some plans to go out in a blaze of glory.
No, ma'am. I have no suicidal intentions at all whatsoever.
Well, that's good to know, because you know, that would be most unfortunate for both of your children, to leave that kind of legacy. But it's interesting as we've gotten further into the questioning how much you dispute the facts of your case and seem to distance yourself from actually being fully responsible and remorseful.
Well, sorry, I hate to come across that way. I do fully believe and I take responsibility for my actions with what happened with my wife.
But you just sat here and discredited her statements to the police. And
we fully fought. We 100% argued and we fought, and things were said. I couldn't tell you exactly word for word what I had said to her.
I just read to you what you said to her. Mm-hmm. And she reported being so scared to go to the police and make a report. And if you found out that she was doing so, she didn't know what would come.
Well, she made that report while I was at work. And then after I got out of work, I came home and we sat there and had a conversation while she cried and told me that that's what she did while I was at work, and told me she was sorry for what she had done. And I told her I wasn't mad at her about it, and I totally understood why she would do it, and we'll deal with it however it comes down.
Well, we have nothing that reflects that. So, you know, we have to go off of the arrest warrant, the sworn affidavit from law enforcement, and, you know, you had every intention in your words of disappearing her, and seemed to be without any hesitation or any moral insight into that choice. So thank you for talking with me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Mr. Tetreault, we're going to discuss your case now. You can listen, please don't interrupt. I think you all are familiar with my position.
And I don't think that we vary
I don't
much off of that either.
Heard from that at all.
And, you know, this is a flat sentence, so the concern is there.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
criminal history, nature and circumstance,
Yes.
offense on probation, and inadequate evidence of offender change would be tops on my list.
Okay.
But I have nature and circumstance, inadequate sufficient constitutional adjustment.
Well, she said on probation. I didn't do poor institutional adjustment. I just had,
Only because I felt the threat was, you know.
Yeah, it was.
It was in keeping with what he's been doing out in the community,
Right.
but it has been over a year.
yeah, but we need to narrow this down.
Okay, fine.
So which we all agree on criminal history and nature and circumstance. What else?
Offense on probation.
And inadequate evidence of offender change.
Okay. So with regard to Ryan Tatro 326375, I move to deny the parole based on his criminal history, nature and circumstance of his offense being committed while he was on probation, and there's inadequate evidence of offender change. He will not receive a new hearing, and he will EOS on this sentence. There a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, Mr. Tatro, we couldn't support your discretionary parole. You'll receive this in writing, sir. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Good afternoon. My name is Parole Officer Menard. Today is Friday, October 11th, 2024. This is a case review hearing to set special parole conditions for Louis Valle-Pabon, 430078. Mr. Valle-Pabon, we have discretionary parole on August 21st, 2024. Board members, please state your names for the record.
Panel member Barry.
Panel member Rodriguez.
Vance Turner.
At this time, the panel will now deliberate.
Thank you. I move to accept Mr. Valle-Pabon's waiver of discretionary parole and set the following special parole conditions that will also apply to his to set the following special parole conditions, period. He is to participate in domestic violence in the community. He is to participate in, we said anger management too? Is that what we said?
And behavior management, domestic violence, and a half.
Okay. So no contact with your co-defendant, Alexander Almadoro. No driving without the parole officer's permission. No contact with your victim, initials AV, and no contact with AM without the parole officer's permission. So there is no anger management officer, Menard.
Okay, just domestic violence.
Yeah.
Domestic violence, no AM without the parole officer's permission. No driving, no co-defendant, and no victim. Did I say everything? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This concludes the hearing, the case review hearing. Valle-Pabon.
Done. Yay.